Yes, welcome on into Marv and Rauh in the morning. Who needs caffeine when you have a Thursday night football game like that? Seahawks and Rams. We're definitely going to get into that. Oh my goodness. Welcome on in. College football playoffs start today. Playoffs. You want to talk playoffs? We should probably talk playoffs. And obviously, this the NFL game week is loaded. We just probably
Yes.
saw the best Thursday night football game of our lives. I mean, I legit my wife was on an airplane last night. She had Wi-Fi. I legit said, I think I just watched the best game of my life last night. And I don't know if I was joking or not, because maybe I was in the moment. Maybe I was, but it was incredible. A lot of stuff to talk about here on Marv and Rauh in the morning. Good morning, everybody. Nick, man, did you even have a sip of coffee this morning? Because I sure did not.
I have not. All I did was just throw on the highlights from last night's game. And it was one of those that, generally when I watch a game, I don't rewatch the highlights just because I already know what happened. I might rewatch highlights weeks, years, months, whatever it is later just to relive it. But a game like what we got last night, the fact that, well, we'll get into exactly how it went down. But yeah, that was basically my energizer this morning. It was everything anyone could have ever hoped for and more. So I can't wait to start talking about it.
Yeah, let's get right into it. Seahawks take down the Rams in the battle for the NFC West, battle for the top spot in the NFC for the playoffs, 38-37 in overtime. And if you just are a box score warrior, do me a favor. Head on back, go to YouTube right after this show, watch the highlights, spend the 10 minutes. It is absolutely worth it. I mean, there's probably more than 10 minutes of highlights in this one because the game was insane. Matt Stafford, insane. Sam Darnold, I mean, there was moments where a ghost appeared. There's moments where he said the ghosts are gone. And then you have a battle between Puca and Nacua on and off the field. And then JSN with a nice battle as well. Seahawks were down by 16 points at one point. And you sent me a text at the end of the game saying it's crazy when you talk about games of runs. That doesn't happen anymore in the NFL. And the Seahawks went on a 24-7 run to win this football game in overtime. The Seahawks were 3 for 3 on 2-point conversions to get back, including probably one of the most controversial 2-point conversions in the history of the NFL. Let's start there. If you remember, to tie this game at 30, there was a crazy 2-point conversion. The 2-point conversion was seen as a backwards pass, even though it was deflected to go forward. It sounded like the whistle did go off by the referees, and it looked like everybody was done with the play. Charbonnet picks it up in the end zone. They rule it after review, a 2-point conversion good. As a Seahawks fan, I was excited, but if I was on the other side, I would be absolutely livid. Maybe I personally would put a tweet out. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. See what you're referencing there. I was trying to find the actual rule because there was a lot of conversation around this. And as you mentioned, it was a Darnold throw out to Charbonnet that got deflected at the line or basically at the line and bounced its way into the end zone where Charbonnet actually went and picked it up. So it wasn't like it was a continuous motion, and it was actually the intended receiver, which I don't believe it has to be. I don't have the screenshot here of the actual rule, but when you mentioned the whistle, I think that's one thing that a lot of people were talking about. And the way I read the rule was that it doesn't actually have to be inside of the whistle because it's technically still like an undeclared ball. So as long as it's like in the continuous motion, like everyone's not walking off the field and someone turns around to go pick it up like they saw a coach remind them. That's the way I read the rule, but I am not wearing the stripes. I'm not the one being referenced on Twitter. So I don't know exactly what went down as far as comparison to the rule book. That caught me off guard, though. Watching it live, I texted you immediately. And I am not ashamed to say this. Like, that was kind of Bush League a little bit. Like, they were kind of all done with the play. And Charbonnet, give him credit. He absolutely, it's like ingrained in his brain. Like, when the play's over, if the ball's on the ground, go grab the ball. Like, even if it's an incomplete pass. Yeah, just always grab the ball because you never know what's going to happen. So I will give them credit for that, and I think that's really where I'm going to find myself as far as how I feel about the whole thing. But I will say, like, for any Rams fans out there, I feel you. My first thought was, like, are we really reviewing this? What are we, like, if everyone's in agreement, what are we reviewing this for? But at the end of the day, I do think they got the call right, and it was obviously enough for the Seahawks to win this game.
How about Matt Stafford, 29 for 49, 457 yards and 3 touchdowns. I'm pretty sure we just watched a quarterback that has been in the league for 18 years solidify his case for his first ever NFL MVP.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that felt like this was like watching a Matt Stafford Heisman game. Like everyone always says, like there's that one game, like this was his MVP game. Even in a game where they lost 38-37 final, like he there I was telling, my my girlfriend, like this is what that made that game so special was it never really felt like the Rams threw it away. Like Stafford
No.
kept them in this game. He threw for like, that's not a normal number of yards. Like that was insane. And when I was watching it, I believe it was actually when he went out to the coin flip at the overtime mark. I was
Yeah.
immediately like, this is like you can tell he has this veteran presence about him. He's been in the league 20 years. Like to be still throwing the ball like that to like obviously the 29-49 not ideal at right around like probably 55-60%, but 450, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Yeah, Matt Stafford had a good night.
Yeah, he really did. And of course, it didn't help that, or didn't hurt that Puca Nacua had 12 receptions for 225 and 2 touchdowns on 16 targets. Seattle's defense could not stop Puca Nacua. Could not. And remember, Devontae Adams did not play in this football game as well. I can only imagine what this game would have looked like with Devontae Adams playing in this football game. It probably is a different outcome. Probably not going to overtime. Probably not happening. Seahawks probably not coming back. But Puca Nacua, obviously a lot of things happening between him during the game and after. During the game, he posted, or excuse me, I should say almost during the game, right after the game, he posted a tweet. It was deleted, but it obviously the damage was done. Everybody got it, screenshotted it, you name it. And he said, "Can you say I was wrong? Appreciate you, Stripes, for your contribution. LOL." So immediately after the game is over, goes out, blames the refs on social media. Puca Nacua is already dealing with social media controversy for doing some sort of dance, which I believe was seen as insensitive. I'm not really sure if what exactly that was happening on that portion. I didn't pay attention to that, but I know he was just dealing with another controversy. He had to apologize about it earlier before the game started, and then goes right back to social media. This is something where you're seen as making the case as maybe the best wide receiver in the league, and then you go and ruin it and you speak of Bush League. This is Bush League doing this right after the game.
Yeah, there was also like the live stream that Puka was doing, and I think part of that too is just like the younger generation getting into the NFL a little bit. It feels like it's different now than it was, and obviously the usage of phones and everything like that. I was gonna say I sent you a picture of right as they're rolling, like the highlights got done, and then they were kind of just showing like slow-mo shots cutting to commercial. I sent you a picture of one of the shots.
Mm-hmm.
It was at 10:55 local. Puka's tweet was sent at 10:55 local. They didn't even get to commercial after the game before his tweet got out. I tweeted, I don't think he made it to the post game show. They didn't make it even to the commercial. I don't know how he beelined for that phone to put that out. And you know what? I get it. As a fan, I would immediately, fire off tweets. Obviously, I have done that. I still do that. Like, but that's just not your spot you're in as a player. And McVay kind of talked about that in his post-game presser. Like, we're working to like teach him and stuff like that. Like, yeah, it's just going to take a little bit. It's obviously frustrating though, looking from his perspective. You mentioned his stat line to go for 225 through the air, 2 touchdowns, along a 58. But I think he also had like a 56 and a 41 or whatever it was as well. Like, yeah, I would be pretty frustrated if I had 202 touchdowns and still we came up short.
I'm pretty sure that was Stafford's second highest passing yards of his career, his 18-year career. First time since passing for 400 yards since 2020. And for what I can see, it's the highest he's thrown, second highest he's thrown in his career, only behind a 2013 game against Dallas where they won by a point, where he threw for 488 yards in that game. So, I mean, we might have just saw Matt Stafford throw arguably his best game of his career. I mean, because he threw two interceptions in that game against Dallas back, 10 plus years ago. And he's in his 18th season, MVP status for sure. I mean, sorry, Drake May. Sorry, some of the other players. I think we just saw Matt Stafford clinch it for sure. On the flip side, we talked about Puca Nacua, Sam Darnold, and JSN. I mean, they struggled very, very good in the first half. There's no doubt about that. Really turned things around. There was moments where JSN started to shine again. There was moments where Sam Darnold started to shine towards the end of the game. There were some passes. There was a pass to Cooper Kupp in that last drive of the football game that if Sam Darnold would have moved it maybe inches to the left, it would, or inches to the right, it's an interception or it's an incompletion. Cooper Kupp he went on record to say it was one of the craziest games he's ever played against, obviously, his former team, the Rams. What's your takeaway from, obviously, these four superstars with Stafford, Puca, Darnold, JSN, all in the same division? And we get to see this hopefully for maybe at least the next couple of years, as long as Stafford sticks around.
Yeah. Stafford is kind of the question mark there, obviously, with the injury history. But the fact that he's still playing and at this level is certainly it's a feel-good situation if you're a big fan of Matt Stafford football. As far as Darnold and JSN, that was the difference in this game. Was I felt like the Rams were a much more steady team throughout, and then it felt like, to me, the Seahawks were very much start and stop, but when they got going, they were really cooking. And we'll get to kind of like what the jolt was that we felt like I think we both agree what really set this game over the edge for the Seahawks. You mentioned the rubber band theory. I think that's very real too, though. But as far as Sam Darnold and JSN, JSN was playing at a high level all night. I felt like didn't really make a ton of mistakes. And Sam Darnold, like you mentioned, saw some ghosts. But then the fact that he was able to get back into the game, the fact that he was able to lock back in, and at the end of the game, as you mentioned, that throw to Kupp, I believe that was the throw where I was sitting on my couch and I actually said out loud, just hand it off. You've got time. Don't put this in Darnold's hands. Because this was kind of coming off the tails of the interception on the goal line. It wasn't right after, but it was certainly right around that time. I was like, if you're the Seahawks, you can't do that. What do? Call Darnold's number, and he gets it done. That was unbelievable resilience from Darnold. And I think we've been making the case now for a few weeks, a few years, if you will, what Darnold has kind of become as far as a resurgence in his career. This game, to me, felt like a turning point where, okay, the game hasn't really gone my way, but I'm still a legit player, and I can still put that ball in a window the size of the football. I can put it in a specific spot. Very, very impressed with what they were able to do to close out that game.
Especially against the Rams, too, because that's been his kryptonite. Ever since last year, losing with the Vikings against the Rams, the game he had earlier this season where he threw multiple picks. He threw multiple picks in this game, but he overcame it in the end of this game this season. And defense stood up, everything. The jolt of energy the Seahawks need. I know we're going long on this conversation, but it's just such a good game, and it's so worth going long here. The jolt of energy, they were down 16, and Rashid Shaheed just comes out and hits a punt return for a touchdown. When that happened, it didn't seem like an exciting time because Al Michaels didn't make the team to play like it was very exciting. Love Al Michaels, but I think it's time to maybe hang the gloves up, buddy. Rashid Shaheed, his punt return for a touchdown, making it a one-score game after the Seahawks pick up their first of 3 successful 2-point conversions. What a great trade addition he has been coming over from New Orleans this season. There's been moments where you think he's completely invisible, and then he does something like that.
Yeah, it's crazy to say that I am going to give the MVP to a guy who basically had the ball twice, once when they were down 16, once when they were down 8. But I don't think that the Seahawks win this game without Rashid Shaheed doing what he did. He had the punt return touchdown, which was right after the interception on the goal line. And I believe it was Al or Kirk that was once that happened, a lot of people, I'm sure, tuned out. And I agree. I definitely thought, under 10 minutes, now you have to get a couple stops in a row. You have no momentum and pull off a 16-point in a row run. That's going to be really challenging. But they somehow hold the Rams to a quick 3-and-out, and Rashid Shaheed gets them the points immediately. There is no drive. There is no anything. So that was step 1. And then step 2 on the next drive, obviously Seahawks hold the Rams to a quick 3-and-out. The punt goes out of bounds. They said, all right, you know what? We're not going to play this game twice. What does Seattle do? They hand it to Rashid Shaheed in an end around, almost like a punt situation, a 31-yard run to give. I think that was the spark that gave the Seahawks the momentum they needed to, have the successful defensive drives to end the game. Obviously, the 2-point conversion was crazy, but that was the Rashid Shaheed game as much as it was the Matt Stafford, as much as it was the Cooper Kupp. I don't think the Seahawks win that game without Rashid Shaheed, and that just goes to show how important the team is, because I don't think anybody went into this game saying, yeah, he's going to be the key to victory. No.
Last thing here, the NFC West is absolutely wild. I mean, this doesn't. I mean, this makes it even more crazier too. Seattle clinched a playoff spot, now 12-3, top of the NFC number 1 seed at the moment. But the Rams are right behind them, 11-4. The San Francisco 49ers, no one are talking about them right now. They're 10-4. There's a scenario here where if all three of those teams win out, with the exception of San Francisco beating Seattle, because that's the only game that the three play against each other left. If Seattle win their next if they split, they win their last one and then lose to San Francisco, the Rams win out and San Francisco wins out, all three of these teams will be 13-4 heading into the postseason. One will win the division, most likely be the 1 seed. Then you'll have a 5 and 6 seed in the playoffs, all 13-4. That's how the playoffs are wild this year. And then meanwhile, the NFC South will probably get a losing record team with the division in there.
Yeah, I was just looking it up because obviously the NFC South and the NFC West are very close to each other on graphics here, and there's a chance that the Panthers are 9-7, like that's and they'll have a complete tiebreaker over the Bucks, and then you've got a couple 13-win teams or 13-win teams in the NFC West, like ridiculous. I guess that's NFL football for you, but from that NFC West side, like it really could be any of those three teams if that's the final we get as far as records, like. Yeah, it's crazy to think of a 5 seed at 13 wins, but like a 6 seed, a 6 seed could very well win the Super Bowl.
Are you ready for this? Check this out. The 7-7 NFC South leading Tampa Bay Buccaneers are closer to the last place in the NFC West 3-11 Cardinals than they are to the 12-3 leading Seattle Seahawks. Insane.
Yep, that checks out.
That's insane.